Chapter 6028. Duncan smiled slightly and added, "Let me talk about the Dead Soldiers Station first. The nature of the Dead Soldiers Station is that it is actually a secret base for a group of illegal armed elements. Moreover, this base is very large in scale and can easily go up. To start with 1,000 people, the key is to be completely hidden in a sovereign country without being discovered. This almost destined them to establish a large-scale enterprise. Moreover, it cannot be an ordinary large-scale enterprise. It must be in the mining and manufacturing industry. Enterprises such as industry and mining can obtain large amounts of land, carry out large-scale civil construction, and purchase materials in large quantities without being suspected. In addition, the industry they engage in must be traditional enough. Because only if they are traditional enough can they lower the threshold for their employment and ensure that they are not taken seriously by outsiders. If it is an automobile factory with thousands of people, it is considered a medium and large enterprise in any country. And it is also a high-end manufacturing industry. The government, media, and industry attention will be very high. But if it is a mine with thousands of people, as long as there is no major accident, basically no one will pay attention to it. At this point, Duncan paused for a moment and continued. If we want to find the residents of dead soldiers under the right army governor's mansion in Europe, then we will integrate all the traditional industrial and mining enterprises in Europe, and then use the elimination method to screen. Among them, European state-owned enterprises or enterprises with shares owned by European countries will pass. Because the Warriors' Den will definitely not set up their own death camp in a state-owned enterprise or an enterprise with state shares. Enterprises with a scale of less than 300 people pass. Because the scale is too small and the enterprise cannot bear the necessary conditions I just mentioned. A leading enterprise in the industry with a good reputation will pass. Because the Warriors' Den will definitely not turn its death camp into a star enterprise with high exposure. If there is a major safety accident, it will pass. Because even if there is a major safety accident at the Warriors' Den's death camp, it will never be known to the outside world. There have been cases of tax evasion, environmental pollution, salary arrears, and other various enterprises that commit illegal acts. They will pass. Because each death camp may be the result of 10 or even decades of hard work by the Warriors' Den. They will never let companies be punished for these small things. Once every illegal act is discovered, they will be punished. It's a huge risk for them. Having said that, Duncan said with some excitement, after these rounds of screening, the remaining companies should be those that are large enough, but not very famous, and not very profitable, but have relatively stable operations, comply with laws and regulations, and are for an enterprise that has never had any problems and does not have much room for development. It may be possible to reduce the base number of 100,000 to 1,000 or even 100, and the target will be much smaller in an instant. DMN. Marshall said excitedly. He slapped the table and blurted out, "Okay, Duncan. You jumped on the head of the den and solved the case. With this trick, you can complete more than 99% of the filtering in one go, which can save a lot of things. When the time comes, it won't take too much time to find these 1,800 companies, or even hundreds of companies, and verify them one by one. The goal will be clear at once." Charlie couldn't hold back the excitement in his heart, and praised, "Detective Lee. When you said that, I suddenly became enlightened." After saying that, Charlie added, "I think we can add a few more filtering conditions. For example, among these companies, there is no one within 100 kilometers. You can also pass at the airport. The global mobilization of Warriors' Den subordinates requires flexibility. If there is no airport around the Dead Soldiers Station, it will have a great impact on the mobilization of the dead soldiers." "That's right," Duncan said. "Except for North America, the number of airports in Asia and Europe is actually not very large. If this filtering condition is added, the scope is estimated to be further reduced by more than half." Charlie thought of something and added, "By the way, you can screen the recruitment information of the target company. The Death Soldier Station is relatively closed loop. they should not recruit employees from the outside, so these companies should not release recruitment information to the outside world. Of course, we do not rule out that they will release smoke bombs to the outside world. So this condition is not suitable for screening, but more suitable for highlighting key suspects. If some of the companies we finally screen out really do not have any recruitment information, then these companies will naturally be more suspicious and can be prioritized for detailed investigation. Yes, Duncan also said with some surprise. Mr. Wade has a strong sense of investigation. Charlie said modestly. Compared with Detective Lee, I am just an amateur. With that said, Charlie said again. Now that Inspector Lee has a direction. Let's try to take action and see if there is anything that needs my help and support. Duncan nodded and said, first, the main stage is information collection. The second stage is information selection, and the third stage is on-site investigation. The most difficult part is actually the first stage. There are too many industrial and mining companies around the world. We must first collect their information one by one and make it into an internal database. And then use the elimination method to filter from these databases. The biggest test of this department is that the collection must be complete enough. Otherwise, if the target company slips through the net, all the subsequent screening efforts will be in vain. Marcus, who is usually responsible for an family's external business, couldn't help but sigh when he heard this. This data is absolutely massive. Some countries' corporate information data can be obtained through connections. But for most countries probably we can't get it. We have to find ways to collect it online, and the subsequent screening is also a huge workload. Many of the conditions just listed require manual comparison and verification one by one. Duncan nodded. The workload is indeed a bit larger. But after all, it is a direction with opportunities, which is much easier than finding a needle in a haystack in a vast sea of people. Nicholas said grandly at this time, it doesn't matter. No matter how heavy the workload is, we have to do it. Let's spend $1 billion to prepare for this first. Charlie suddenly thought of something at this time and said, maybe it's not as troublesome as we thought. Everyone agreed in unison. Looked at him, wondering if he had any new ideas. Charlie said at this time, these things should be able to be completed through AI. The current AI information database has been updated to this year. Or even a month ago. In addition to the core secrets of various countries. All the content and information that can be searched on the internet is stored in the ARIS information database. As long as we train the AI well, tell it our needs, and let it help us sift through the massive data,